think we can close out with the Thanksgiving song by Adam Sandler
Yes, yes,
because we're doing the whole thankful thing.
yes. I like it.
Yeah.
Did you hear that he's coming out with a new version of the Hanukkah song?
Again,
Yes,
it's number
that's
4,
awesome.
right? Or number 5? Which?
No, it's number 4, I think.
Oh
4.
boy.
Yeah, this
What-
one includes Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Seth Rogen.
Okay, so all the new Jews.
Yeah, yeah, pretty much.
It's
Uh,
been updated for 2015.
yeah. So, what's the movie you're seeing today?
I'm seeing Creed.
Oh, that looks good.
Yeah, I had coworkers went to see it the night it came out,
Yeah,
and they told me it was like they said it was one of the best movies they've seen in a long time.
I
And
hear
then
I hear My All American is good too.
yeah, and Vince Howard is in it. Is in
Yeah,
Creed.
Michael B. Jordan.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah. So wait, so is Rocky like training this new
He's training
boxer?
He's training Apollo Creed's son.
Oh,
Michael B.
that's
Jordan plays Apollo Creed's son, and so
ah
yeah, it's a twist.
ah.
Yeah, I like. That's a really good idea.
No, it really is
Yeah,
because he
when I saw
kind
the
of he kind of ran its course with the Rocky movies,
yeah
and so now that you're going off another tangent off of the Rocky movies, that's clever. That's good.
yeah definitely. And let me put my phone on do not disturb. Um, yeah, I think it's a really good idea. When I saw the preview, I was like, "That I'm definitely seeing that."
Yeah,
Like, it was one of those movies I knew I was seeing when I saw the preview.
yeah. I need to see Catching Fire Part One first before I can see Catching Fire Part Two.
I think
I'm kind of behind on that.
my mom went to see part two last. I think my mom and my sister went to see part two last night.
Mm,
They said it was good.
yeah.
I
So
don't
so
know. I haven't seen any of them, so
yeah. So how was your Thanksgiving with Charlie?
it was good. We went and got Indian food.
Oh
It
my God.
wasn't too exciting. We couldn't. We were gonna get soul food, but the place was closed.
Oh yeah, because it's Thanksgiving.
The Indian food place just happened to be open,
Uh,
and it was awesome.
at least buy like turkey cold cuts for Thanksgiving. Jesus, that's sad.
It was all right.
All right, let's you know what's
Let's
really good? Rotisserie turkey and deep
Boston
fried
Market or
turkey.
something.
What?
If I could
No.
get it from Boston Market or something.
Yeah, you could have done that. Just
Yeah.
like buy a pre-cooked turkey, so you don't have to go through all that trouble.
Yeah, I should have thought of that. Whatever.
Yeah, but all right, let's get this show on the road.
Yep.
All right, welcome to another edition of the Sports Pulse. Sans Sean McNiff, I'm Ethan Winter.
And I'm Brian Brennan.
Sean is not with us today as he is continuing the Thanksgiving weekend celebration with his family, or I assume he is.
Small Business Saturday.
Yeah. Um, so let's talk about the. Well, first, before we get started, what's the. Sorry about that. What's the. I thought something was like crawling on my ear or something.
I think it was a cat or something.
No, it's not my cat.
But anyway, the intro song this week,
Yes.
which I think is what you were going to say,
Yes.
is
Before I freaked out a little bit.
I got 5 on it by Lunas, song from the East Bay hip hop scene, and that gets us started this week.
Yeah, although I was thinking because Big Sean performed at the Detroit halftime show on Thanksgiving, and I thought that would have been a good song to start off with.
He did all right
Yeah.
at Detroit,
Yeah.
didn't he? Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Well, Sean can edit it in. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Whatever you
I probably should
say.
have talked to you about that before.
Yeah, whatever. It doesn't
That's my
matter.
fault.
No
But
worries.
speaking of Thanksgiving games, we had 2 blowouts and a upset.
It was a pretty interesting Thanksgiving of football. The complete dismantling of the Philadelphia Eagles is what got it started. As it looks more and more like every day that Chip Kelly is not going to be the Eagles head coach next year.
Yeah, there's no
And
chance.
it's looking more and more likely every day. I think going back to week 11, the Eagles gave up. I'm not sure how many.
They've given up 90 points in the last 2 games.
Yeah, that's right. They gave up 45 to the Buccaneers and 44 to the Lions. So
No, I think I think they gave up 45.
45 to each. Yeah. It was 90 each.
Clearly, math is not your strong suit.
It never was. But
yeah, and they've gotten outscored like 90 to 24, I think, in the last 2 games combined.
yeah, that's not good.
Yeah.
To say the least.
Yeah, no, not at all. And there's no shot that Chip Kelly's back next year.
No.
This team, the Eagles team, has quit on Chip Kelly. They just want the season to be over with. And everything that we first thought was going to happen to the Eagles when Chip Kelly started dismantling this team in the offseason is coming to fruition.
Oh, definitely.
I mean,
this is a disaster right now.
He traded away Nick Foles, who, I mean, he's not a great quarterback, but I think he's better and more reliable than Sam Bradford.
Right.
And he traded away LaShawn McCoy and replaced him with DeMarco Murray, but DeMarco Murray doesn't really fit the system.
Yeah.
that Chip Kelly is trying to run here. LaShawn McCoy's better fitted for that. And also the Eagles
crappy offensive line.
Right, yeah. I was just gonna say. And the Eagles don't really have a good offensive line. So
yeah.
All our knee-jerk reactions at the beginning of the season when Chip Kelly started dismantling and revamping this team is coming to fruition. And I mean, by the time the season started, we all talked ourselves into I mean, the NFC East isn't that great. They could somehow luck into 10 wins. No, they can't even luck into 6 wins, I don't think, at this point.
Definitely not. I don't think the Eagles are going to be much of a threat the rest of the way.
No.
I think that was what the real big story out of that game was. Detroit played well, obviously. I mean, Matthew Stafford, I think, threw 6 touchdowns, right?
Right.
Something like that. Off the charts.
Three of them to Calvin Johnson.
They've been playing a lot better the last couple of weeks. You count the win in Lambeau a couple of weeks ago, and they beat the Raiders before this, and now Detroit is on a 3-game win streak. So
right,
they're playing a lot better. So good for them.
Yes, certainly, and I think this is closer to the team that we know and thought that the Lions were and could be. It was just I think Jim Caldwell, no matter how well the Lions finished this season, I think Jim Caldwell should be fired also, because this team should not have gone off to as bad of a start as they did.
I would agree.
And a lot of that has to do with Jim Caldwell being incompetent and just
I never thought he was
not aware, not being a very good head coach.
Yeah, I never thought he was that good of a head coach to begin with.
Right. Next game. By the way, me and Sean picked the Eagles on Thanksgiving. Brian, you picked the Lions. So good for you.
Right. Yeah.
The next game now, which I thought with Tony Romo back, I thought the the Cowboys
ended
were going to
Vegas.
give the Panthers their first loss of the season, and of course, the first throw that Tony Romo, or the first pass that Tony Romo throws, is a pick six. And at that point, I was like, "Oh, that's the Cowboys are off to a great start, and I'm off to
Yeah.
a great start." And then everything just Cowboys season just imploded when Tony Romo broke his collarbone and is out for the rest of the season, and the Cowboys season is done.
The Cowboys did not win a single game when Tony Romo was out as quarterback. And Tony Romo came back. They won that first game in Miami. And everybody was like, okay, they're going to turn it around. A lot of people were saying that they were going to win the division. And now it's back to square one. I mean,
Yeah.
there's probably a chance that the Cowboys lose out the rest of the way. I would say a good chance at this point.
And the interesting thing is that I thought the Cowboys were the Panthers' toughest test in the remaining schedule, and the Panthers just absolutely dismantled the Cowboys even when Tony Romo was in.
They whipped them.
Right. But yeah, so the Cowboys season just has officially come down to a crash and burn. And the Panthers still undefeated at 11-0. Who do they play next week?
The Saints.
So that should
in New Orleans, actually.
That should be actually a good game. I mean, division games are always tough.
They play
especially on the road.
The Panthers' remaining schedule is they play the Saints in New Orleans, and then they play the Falcons at Bank of America Stadium, and then they play the Giants in New York, or I guess New Jersey.
I think the Giants could beat the Panthers.
That's going to be an interesting one because the Giants, as you know very well, play very well against undefeated teams.
Yes.
And this year as well. So the Giants is going to be an interesting game. Then they play the Falcons again at the Georgia Dome, and then they play Tampa Bay last week of the regular season at Bank of America Stadium. And
I see potential 2 losses next week to the Saints in New Orleans, and then at the Giants. Those are the 2 losses that I could potentially see. Other than that, I don't see the Panthers losing any other game other than those 2 ones.
The Falcons games are going to be interesting because they've been on a real tailspin these last couple of weeks. But the games, anything can happen. I don't think they're going to lose to Tampa Bay. They already beat them in Tampa Bay. The Giants game is going to be interesting because it's at MetLife. There's a chance that
the Giants always seem to play up to the competition.
Right.
Especially against the Patriots.
I don't know if the Saints game is going to be as good. I need to see how the Saints are going to do this week against the Texans before I start preparing for that Saints game because I think that the Saints could go either way. Now that Rob Ryan's not their defensive coordinator, they could be either improved or they could just completely give up on the season.
Right.
So that 4-6, the NFC's kind of a clusterfuck right now.
The whole league is a clusterfuck.
Outside of the pretty much.
Outside of the top 4 teams or top 5 teams.
Definitely. But I'll be interested.
And really, it's only the top 4 teams because you have 3 in the AFC: the Patriots, Broncos, and Bengals, and then you have just the Panthers in the NFC.
Well, I mean, Arizona's good too.
Oh, right, Arizona. So top 5 teams.
I know a lot of people aren't quite buying into them yet, but Arizona is good. The Vikings might be good. The Packers, I mean.
Packers, and this actually provides a perfect segue into the last game on Thanksgiving. The Packers retired Brett Favre's number.
Bart Starr was there.
And Bart Starr was there, the two greatest quarterbacks in Packers history thus far. Aaron Rodgers will most certainly join them at some point. One
He
would
hasn't
think.
already.
But the Packers offense continues to struggle. And you thought losing to the Lions a couple of weeks ago for the first time in 23 years was bad. Talk about losing to the Bears at home
On Thanksgiving.
on Thanksgiving on Brett Favre's number retirement night. It's the Packers just don't look good. Offensively, they're surprisingly anemic at this point in the season.
I mean, Rodgers is playing well, but the people around him just aren't. Like,
Right.
I don't know what the deal is. It's like the wide receivers can't catch anything. The running backs are one of them's either they're both hot and cold. And right now, they're both cold. Eddie
Right.
Lacy and James Starks. It's really a mystery how this all of a sudden turned into just a total collapse by the Packers. They've lost, what is it, 4 of the last 5?
Yes, 4 of the last 5 games they've lost.
So it's not good at this point in the season going into December, especially when you have the Vikings hot on your tail.
Right.
Even though you did beat them in Minnesota, I mean, they're still right in the thick of things.
Right. And they have a very winnable game this week against Atlanta.
Right.
With the Falcons and an even worse tailspin than the Packers are right now.
Definitely.
All right, so those are, and also by the way, I think Aaron Rodgers is no longer in the MVP discussion because of the tailspin that the Packers have been on these past 5 weeks.
I think there's only 2 people realistically in the MVP.
And they both quarterback undefeated teams.
One of them plays in the state you're in right now. One of them plays in the state I'm in right now.
And both teams are undefeated.
Yep.
Let's move on to the rest of the games this week. First game up on Sunday, tomorrow. The Oakland Raiders at the Tennessee Titans. I think we all picked the Raiders.
Yeah, this is kind of a weak game, but I'm going to go with Oakland.
Next game, we have the 5-5 Buffalo Bills at 5-5 Kansas City Chiefs. I picked the Chiefs because it's in Arrowhead, and Arrowhead is very tough to play in as a visitor. So I'm going with the Chiefs.
Yeah, it looks like Buffalo is going to miss out on the playoffs again this year. I'm going to go with the Chiefs in Arrowhead. They've just been on the rise, really, ever since Jamal Charles got hurt, which is kind of
ironic,
yeah.
Next game up, another game between 2 5-5 teams, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at the Indianapolis Colts. I have the Colts, you have the Colts, but Sean has the Buccaneers.
I mean, I could see the Bucs winning this game. Matt Hasselbeck.
I do too.
Matt Hasselbeck's at quarterback for the Colts. So,
but the Colts are undefeated with Matt Hasselbeck at the helm. They're 4-0 with Matt Hasselbeck as quarterback.
I'd still say it's Matt Hasselbeck, but
what?
I'd still say it's a 40-year-old Matt Hasselbeck. I mean, how much do you expect to get out of him?
I mean, he's playing better than Andrew Luck right now.
That's
all
for sure.
Season.
That's for sure.
So I mean, don't knock on the old guys. I mean,
I'm not.
He's performing.
I'm not. I think he'll win this game though.
Okay. All right. Next game is the G-Men at the Washington Redskins. Kirk Cousins is at home. He plays very well at FedEx Field. The Giants, I think they play well one week, play bad the next. I think that trend's going to continue, and I think the Redskins are going to win. Sean's going to like that.
Well, Sean, of course, picked the Redskins,
Right.
but I think you're both going to be wrong. I think the Giants are going to win because I think they're the best team in the division.
I agree, but I just think I mean it's at FedEx Field. If it was in New York, I would have picked the Giants, but
I don't
since
think
it's
FedEx
at
Field
FedEx
is
Field, and I mean not saying that FedEx Field is a huge advantage for the Redskins. I'm just saying that Kirk Cousins has played at a Pro Bowl level this season at FedEx Field.
Yeah,
So
I still think the
that's,
Giants are
that's,
going to win.
that's all I'm saying. All right. Next game is the New Orleans Saints at the Houston Texans. Texans are starting to play well. Ever since Ryan Mallett got booted from the team, they're 5-5, tied with the Colts for the division lead, and the Saints are 4-6. Just fired Rob Ryan as the defensive coordinator. Both you and I have the Texans this week, Brian, and Sean picked the Saints.
Yeah, Houston is really playing a lot better right now. I'm going to go with them to get the win at home too.
All right, next game is the Minnesota Vikings at the Atlanta Hawks. The Vikings,
Falcons.
excuse me, Atlanta Falcons. I mean, it's still a bird, bird of prey.
Same city too.
Yeah. But yeah, I have the Vikings winning this week. The Falcons are just in a tailspin. The Vikings are playing well. So yeah, and Sean picked the Falcons this week, by the way.
I'm going with the Vikings as well. I think they are definitely going to make the playoffs this year, and I don't think Atlanta. I mean, there's a chance they lose out the rest of their games. I don't know if it's going to happen, but I think Minnesota beats them this week.
Yep. All right. Next game is the Rams at the Bengals. I think the Bengals get back on the winning track and defeat the St. Louis Rams.
This is definitely a good, I guess, jump point to get back on track for the Bengals against a pretty team that's kind of struggling in the Rams. So I'm going to go with the Bengals as well.
All right. Next game is the San Diego Superchargers at the Jacksonville Jaguars. I have the Chargers winning this week, although I'm not going to lie, I thought about picking the Jaguars.
Yeah.
Because of the cross country flight for the Chargers. But despite all the problems that the Chargers have had this season with injuries, I just think the Chargers are going to win. I still think the Chargers are more talented. They're just having a bad season.
Yeah, I went with the Jaguars in this one because I want to see them contend for the AFC South, which they are right now, and I want to see them continue to do it.
And win the division with a 6-10 record.
Exactly, that's the plan. Since San Diego, since the guy, I don't know who it is, but whoever it was that came out and said the Chargers would be moving to LA or would be filing for relocation, the Chargers haven't won a game.
So, wow, that's interesting.
Yeah, I think they've lost a bunch of games in a row.
Yeah, they're on a bad losing streak.
I'm gonna go with the Jaguars.
Sean has the Chargers.
Chargers have lost 6 in a row, by the way.
Ouch.
Yeah.
So, the next game is the Miami Dolphins at the New York Jets. We all picked the Jets to get back on track. The Jets have lost 4 of their last 5 games, 5 of their last 6. But the Dolphins, I think they get back on track against the Dolphins.
Yeah, I would say so. Games at home. This is a good week to get back on track.
Oh, we lost Brian. Brian, you still there, bud?
Yeah, I was getting a call, so I just declined it.
Okay.
My bad.
Who was calling you?
I have no idea. But I think it's probably just telemarketers or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the danger of doing this shit on your phone. But I think the the Jets are going to get back on track.
First 4:00 game this week is the Arizona Cardinals at the San Francisco 49ers. I think we've all picked the Cardinals on this one.
Yeah, definitely. Arizona, much better than San Francisco.
Now, this is an interesting game. The last 4:00 game, there's only 2 4:00 games this week, which is interesting.
That's because all the games were on Thursday. It's because they played 3 already.
Right, yeah.
There's not a lot of games for 4 o'clock.
Yeah. But so we have the Pittsburgh Steelers at the Seattle Seahawks. This should be an excellent game. I picked the Seahawks. Sean picked the Steelers.
I can't remember who I picked, so please tell me.
You picked the Seahawks, and
that sounds right.
I agree with you. Is Roethlisberger still hurt?
No,
Roethlisberger got hurt again.
I think he's coming back because they just had their bye, and he came in when Landry Jones got hurt.
Right,
so
and he had that big game.
Yeah, I think Roethlisberger is probably going to be back.
Okay. All right. Yeah. No, I wasn't sure because I mean the Steelers don't have a very good offensive line like the Cowboys.
Yeah.
And Ben Roethlisberger has been banged up, and I can't keep track of his injuries. But I think this should be a good game. I would not be surprised if the Steelers won.
This is going to be a good game. It's on national television.
Right.
On CBS. So I'm going to go with the Seahawks, though, in Seattle.
Yeah. I'm going with the Seahawks also. But, I mean, I think part of it is because if the Steelers do make the playoffs, I think they pose the biggest threat to the Patriots in the playoffs.
Yeah.
So I kind of want them to miss it. But that brings us to the Sunday night game, the New England Patriots at the Denver Broncos. Patriots 10-0, but they are really banged up. They are without Danny Amendola this week. Jamie Collins is still out with a sickness. I mean, he's over his sickness, but he needs.
Why is he out? Like, I don't get that.
He had like a virus and was out, and he lost a lot of like weight and strength because he was sick, and so now the last 2 weeks he has been just trying to get his strength back. He practiced for the first time since he first got sick last week.
Oh wow!
Or he got sick yesterday. I mean,
did he have like mono or something? What was?
I don't know what the sickness is. I have no clue.
It'd be good to know. I want to know if he had like
mono
or something.
I mean, he might. He might. I just don't know. But it's the good thing is that he's over his sickness and he's just trying to get his strength back up. But Aaron Dobson was placed on IR after making a great catch in which he got a high ankle sprain on as a result last week. I mean, that's typical Aaron Dobson, and it really sucks because I like Dobson. I want him to do well. I'm a Dobson guy. But the Broncos are also a little banged up. I believe DeMarcus Ware is going to be out. Peyton Manning is on the bench.
But Brock Osweiler did play well last week.
Yeah, he was able to run an offense. I don't think he really lit up the stat sheet though.
Yeah, I know, but he played well enough to win, which is all the Broncos really need him to do at this point.
Right. And I also hear that there is a 60% chance of snow, and the Patriots play really well in the snow. It's like crazy. They have like an 80% winning percentage with Tom Brady at quarterback in snow games. It's absurd. Um, but I think this is going to be a good game. It's going to be a good test for Malcolm Butler going up against Demarius Thomas or Emmanuel Sanders. The Patriots defense is the most underrated defense in the NFL. They have the number one scoring defense in the league in terms of least amount of points scored on them. So I think this should be an excellent matchup.
I wouldn't be surprised if the Broncos won this game, to be honest.
I wouldn't be surprised either. I think I kind of like resigned to the fact that okay, the Patriots may lose this week, but I'm okay with it if they lose because it's more important that the Patriots get healthy for the playoffs, and it's not like they need to win to remain the number one seed in the AFC right now. They have a 2-game lead on the Broncos and the Bengals, so even if they lost this game, they would still have the number one seed. And really, this is really the only game that I can see the Patriots having a legitimate chance to lose.
Well, I think they might lose the game at MetLife against the Jets, but that's just me. I think the Patriots will still win the game, though.
I do too.
That was my pick, and I'm going to stick with it. I wouldn't be surprised if the Broncos won, though.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if the Broncos won either. The Patriots always struggle in Mile High. It's a tough place to play, but if it snows, I think that could only mean good things for the Patriots. But even if it doesn't snow, I think the Patriots would be able to grind out an ugly victory like they have the last 2 weeks.
True.
All right. By the way, my final score prediction, 31-25 Patriots. It's going to be a good one. Next up, the final game of the weekend is the Baltimore Ravens at the Cleveland Browns. Could ESPN pick a worse Monday night game?
Well, they didn't know it was going to be this bad at the start of the season.
But I know, but even if the Ravens didn't suck this year, it's still a bad Monday night game.
Yeah, this one sucks. I feel like they thought Johnny Manziel was going to start at quarterback and Joe Flacco was going to start at quarterback, and the Ravens were going to be better than the Ravens are, but that's not what happened. So, yeah, this game sucks. I'm going with I think I said I'm going with the Ravens.
Yeah,
so I'll go with the Ravens.
I think we're all going with the Ravens this week. But speaking of the Cleveland Browns and Johnny Manziel, Johnny Manziel there was a video that came out last week or earlier this week of him at a nightclub holding a bottle of champagne, and now he has been demoted all the way to third string quarterback as a result. And on the surface, what Johnny Manziel did doesn't seem like that big of a deal, but if you really get into it, and you really like get the whole picture of it, you know that Johnny Manziel went to rehab before this season, and so now he's relapsed, and also he had that domestic violence incident with his
well, we don't really
girlfriend.
know what that was, but
right, yeah. No, but still, like, I mean, if you're the Cleveland Browns, like, you had to deal with that incident, and Johnny went to rehab for alcohol abuse. And now I think this was just like something that broke the camel's back. The straw that broke the
Yeah,
camel's back.
definitely. I
And
think they
I
were
think
just
I think
over it.
I mean I think Penn just inertly hates Johnny Manziel even without all these issues. Um, eh, but just with these issues on top of it, just adds to the fact, and it's not very good for Johnny. It shows that he's still immature,
Yeah.
and I mean it's tough. I mean it's totally avoidable. Um, and Johnny just needs to know better.
It sucks because I thought he had grown up when he had gotten the starting quarterback job. I feel like the Browns would have given it to him or wouldn't have given him the starting quarterback job if they didn't think this guy is finally ready to assume the role as starting quarterback. And now obviously he's not, and he's probably almost certainly not going to play football again for the Cleveland Browns this year. And who knows about the future? Uh,
Yeah, I think Johnny's gonna get traded
I would
at the end
imagine
of the
so.
season.
I think there's some value for Johnny Manziel with
I
some teams.
agree.
I don't know who those teams are, but there's definitely some value for a guy like Johnny Manziel.
I mean, there's a lot of teams that need quarterbacks. With your New York Jets being one of them, the
Yeah,
Bills need a quarterback. I mean, there's a lot of teams that need a quarterback, and I think would be willing to take a flyer on Johnny Manziel.
yeah.
But I mean, he was handed the starting quarterback job, and he just thrown it away. Johnny Manziel, at the rate that he's going, is probably one of the biggest waste of talents I have ever seen.
He just never. He's one of those guys who just didn't grow up. And Johnny Manziel. I mean, it sucks to see because he was so fun to watch in college. I mean, love him or hate him, you couldn't deny how fun, how exciting Johnny football was in college. I mean, he was like kind of the college football equivalent to the Beatles for a while there. Like he was a rock star, and it sucks to see that it could have seen it coming, but it sucks to see how it's gone down with Johnny Manziel and the Cleveland Browns.
Right. And it's certainly interesting because Johnny was he was that rich kid that was handed everything when he was growing up.
Right.
Um, and he's kind of spoiled. You have to admit it. He's a spoiled kid. Um,
Almost certainly.
right, and people. I mean, he pretty much walked on water growing up, and now that he's in the real world, or as much of the real world as an NFL player can be, and
I would say playing for the Cleveland Browns is kind of like being in the real world. I mean, it's not like being an NFL. Like when
right,
you think of the NFL, the Cleveland Browns are kind of one of the last teams you would think of. So
right. Um, all right. Moving on now to college football. College football going on right now. A couple of big games this week. Michigan, Ohio State going on right now. You have Bedlam later tonight, and also you have Notre Dame at Stanford. Three big games that all have college football playoff ramifications this week.
the Ohio State game probably has the least amount of playoff ramifications because of the fact that Ohio State lost last week to Michigan State, which kind of took them out of the discussion a little bit. So I mean, what Ohio State is whooping on Michigan right now, 28-10.
Wow.
And so what Ohio State needs to do is win this game, which it looks like they're going to, and then pray for Michigan State to lose to Penn State, which I don't think is going to happen. That's the only way Ohio State can get into the Big Ten title game against Iowa, and then they'd have to beat Iowa, which I don't even know if they can do. And at that point, it's just too much for Ohio State and Michigan to hope for, I think, to get into the playoff.
Yeah, the game that I'm going to be keeping an eye on this week or today is Notre Dame, Stanford. Notre Dame, even though they won the last 2 weeks, the wins were not very impressive. They struggled against Boston College, 5 turnovers. 3 of those turnovers were in the red zone, and they just barely came out of Fenway Park with a win.
Right.
And I think they need to beat Stanford by at least 2 touchdowns tonight if they want to secure their spot in the college football playoff. Because even if they win this week, they beat Stanford, which is an impressive win on the road in itself. But if they just win by like a touchdown at most, then they could get knocked out of the college football playoff next week by not playing, because they're not playing in a conference championship game because they're not in a conference.
And
so,
the independence comes back to hurt.
What?
No, the independence of Notre Dame comes back to hurt him again in that case.
Right, exactly. And so I think in order for them to safely secure a spot in the college football playoff, they need to beat Stanford by at least 2 touchdowns.
And that's going to be tough. I've been to Stanford Stadium, Palo Alto. It's a tough place to play. And it's going to be a difficult one. Stanford is also ranked in, I believe, the top at number 9. And
yeah, they're either 9 or 8.
So it's a big game for both of them.
Yeah, and
I think Notre Dame's going to win, but I don't know if it's going to be by 2 touchdowns.
And Stanford, they're pretty much out of it. But I mean, if they want to still have at least some shot, they need to win this week also.
Absolutely.
Moving on now to the NBA. By the way, just a side note, and I know Sean's not here for this, but the Celtics have destroyed his Washington Wizards both times that they've played them this year. I love it. They've won by 30 and 33 points respectively.
Good to know.
But anyway, you have the Golden State Warriors, who I believe are 17-0.
That's correct.
And the Sixers, who are 0-17. 0-17. The Warriors have lost 27 straight games dating back to last season. That's a North American sports record. And the Warriors themselves have a chance to make history and set a new North American sports record for longest win streak dating back to last season, I believe, or to start.
They did. Well, I don't know if it would count going back to last season, because the last game they played last season was the finals. So
right.
I don't know how.
Well, maybe it's regular season games. I don't really.
I know the Miami Heat had the longest winning streak. They broke that a couple of years ago when they had LeBron and Wade, and I think it was 20-something in a row. I don't know if the Warriors are going to get that far.
Right.
But, I mean, the Sixers streak, I mean, who knows how long this could go for.
Yeah, so it brings up the question, who wins or loses first, the Warriors or the Sixers? Will the Warriors lose first, or will the Sixers win a game first?
I thought about this for a while, and then I took a look at the Golden State Warriors schedule, and I think right about now they're embarking on or not right now, after their game tonight against Sacramento in Golden State, they embark on a 7-game road trip to Utah, Charlotte, Toronto, Brooklyn, Indiana, Boston, and Milwaukee. And it's hard to win on the road in the NBA, especially when you're doing it. You've been away from home for so long. I mean, that's a long time to be away from Oakland if you're the Warriors. So I think they're going to lose one of those games. I don't know if they're going to lose more than one of those games, but I wouldn't be surprised if they lost to Toronto in Toronto. Wouldn't be surprised if they lost maybe in Boston, maybe in Charlotte. I think the
Yeah,
Warriors will come to an end sooner or later.
I
So good.
I think I think the Warriors are going to beat Charlotte. I think the game that they could lose is probably to Indiana. But
Yeah,
I still think they could very well easily win all of those games, though.
definitely.
I mean,
The Warriors
Toronto,
are very, very good.
right? Yeah. I mean, I don't really. It will be interesting to see how the Celtics match up with the Warriors. But I don't think the Celtics will be able to beat Golden State. Um, I just want to take a look at the Sixers schedule
Right.
real
I'm pulling
quick.
it up right now.
Um, so the Sixers, they play at Memphis uh, tomorrow. Then I think they could beat the Lakers.
Yeah, that's one.
I think they can beat the Lakers, and I think the Sixers are gonna win uh, before before the Warriors lose.
I mean, the
I mean,
Lakers
they almost beat the
are
Celtics the other night. So, and then Jahlil Okafor got in a fight with a outside a Boston nightclub after the
I
game.
saw that. I saw that. That was interesting. Apparently, he had a gun pointed at him or something, or that was.
Well, I mean, I don't know the details. I didn't really read that much into it, but I, I don't think it. I don't think there was a gun involved. I think he was just being heckled,
Okay.
mercilessly. Um, yeah, I mean, because you know how assholes are.
Yeah. Well, anyway, the Sixers have lost obviously their first 17 games this year, but they're getting a lot closer in some of these games. They lost to the Heat a couple nights ago by only 5, and then they lost to the Timberwolves by the same score. Then they lost to the Celtics by 4, and
Right.
then they lost to the Rockets last night by 2. So they're getting closer and closer. I think it sets up well for them to win that game against the Lakers.
Yeah, totally. Plus, it's at home
Yeah.
too. But yeah, I just have a quick side note. Where did you hear that
I think it
Jahlil
was
Okafor had a
actually.
gun to his head or something?
I think that was another incident. I read a report somewhere that in an October incident, Jahlil Okafor had a gun pointed at his head.
Where was he when this happened?
I'm not sure. I just saw the flash on one of those pages.
I mean, I feel like if that was true, I think it would be a bigger deal than because it didn't
Yeah.
even it wasn't even a blip on my radar. Like I didn't even hear about
I'm
it.
looking at it now, and there are reports about it.
But it was back in October.
In Philly, it was in Philly. It was outside a club in Philly in October.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So now we have the walk off. Before we get into the giving thanks part, saying what we're thankful for as sports fans, I just want to give a shout out to Robert Kraft and the New England Patriots for holding a moment of silence before their Monday night game with the Buffalo Bills. They held a moment of silence for terror victims in general, but they also singled out 18-year-old Ezra Schwartz of Sharon, who was taking a gap year in Israel. He was killed by Palestinian terrorists in a terrorist attack. in Israel. And I just wanted to say a very classy um, gesture by the Kraft family and the New England Patriots. All right, Brian, what are you thankful for as a sports fan?
I'm thankful I'm not a Patriots fan.
Wow.
So yeah, thank you. That's all I have to say.
That doesn't make sense at all because the Patriots win, and
I don't care.
why would you want to be a
I'd
sports
not be
fan
a
if you don't
Patriots
even
fan.
win?
I'd still rather
Bullshit.
never be a
I call
Patriots fan.
bullshit. I call
Never.
bullshit. I call bullshit.
Definitely never.
But I don't believe you. I don't believe you.
I'm thankful that I guess for things that I'm actually thankful for.
I knew you weren't actually thankful for not being a Patriots fan. I knew it.
Shut up, Ethan. Shut up. I honestly don't care. But I am thankful for a couple of things. I'm thankful that some sports leagues actually got it right in getting their playoff systems right. I'm happy there's a college football playoff, even though it still needs work. I'm thankful for that because I think it's probably, honestly, the best way to possibly decide a national champion. I'm thankful there's the wild card game in Major League Baseball because it's just made everything so much more exciting. I'm thankful that I get to watch a 10-0 football team every Sunday, and where I live.
Bandwagon.
Suck a dick. I don't care what you say. I don't care what you or anyone else says. But yeah, so that's pretty much what I'm.
Pink hat.
I don't know what that means.
A pink hat, it means that they're a bandwagon fan. It's another term for a bandwagon.
Do not care. So.
All right. So I'm thankful for Bill Belichick. I'm thankful for being I'm thankful for Bill Belichick being the head coach of the New England Patriots, and that he resigned as HC of the NYJ 15 years ago. I'm thankful for Tom Brady and his determination. I'm thankful, and I'm just thankful for the good Lord in making me a Patriots fan. And Boston sports has been supremely blessed these past 15 years in all sports. Won championships, 4 Super Bowls by the Patriots, won a Larry O'Brien Trophy by the Celtics, 1 Stanley Cup by the Bruins, and 3 World Series championships for the Red Sox. And I'm just extremely thankful for growing up and being a Boston sports fan through 15 years of excellence.
And I'm still thankful I'm not.
Wow. It's not even believable.
It is.
It's not even believable. No, it's not.
I'm happy I didn't grow up in Boston.
You are just an ignorant hater.
No, I don't.
You
ignorant.
You grew up a Yankee fan. So yeah, the Yankees are the same thing.
I'm a huge Yankee fan. I love being a Yankee fan.
Yeah.
I'm thankful I'm a Yankee fan because I couldn't imagine rooting for any other baseball team.
And I can't imagine rooting for any other football or baseball team. I can't imagine. I mean, I just see the reason why I don't believe you. I believe you that you don't wish that you are a Patriots fan. What I don't believe is that you aren't jealous of all the success.
I'm not jealous of any success.
That is completely unbelievable.
At the end of the day,
a bold-faced fucking lie.
At the end of the day, you still have to live in Boston, and we have to live in New York.
Boston is the greatest city. It's the best city. It's the hub. It's the hub of the universe.
Good to hear. That's cute.
New York is overrated.